good though. And then you can adjust that mic. You don't need to be like right up in it.
Yeah.
You can just here, just I might need to tighten that a little bit.
Yeah, I got it.
Is that good? All right, cool.
Cool.
So just pop a quick fucking Zin.
Yeah.
You ever dabble into nicotine at all?
No.
Nah.
No.
I heard it had some fucking like cognitive fucking benefits and shit like that, but now I'm just addicted to nicotine. So,
You should be a firefighter.
yeah.
Those guys are fucking popping those things in all the time.
Oh, Zins?
Yeah.
I thought that was more like a cig thing for them.
No.
Really? Are you still training to be like a firefighter and everything like that?
I was, but not anymore.
It's not your thing.
No.
Are you just still doing the EMT school?
I was in that. Yeah, I passed it. Now I'm like, I got a couple of job applications for being a cop. So we'll see how that plays out.
All right. Yeah. Well, Miguel, how are you, brother?
Good, my man. Getting ready for March 22nd, for Cage Titans.
Yeah. How do you feel about that matchup coming up?
I feel great. This is a big step. He's 10 and 12, so he's a little bit older than me. He's got a lot of experience, and he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so like he's pretty high level on the ground. But
yeah,
I'm not worried about it.
You're not worried about it?
Nah.
Yeah. So I was going over some of your like I don't know stats, I guess you want to say, but so at the start of your career, you found some trouble with starting your amateurs off, and you fought only Cage Titans throughout your whole career, correct?
Yeah.
And so with those first two fights not going your way, what was like the mindset going into your third amateur fight?
So when I lost my first two for the amateurs, COVID happened.
Oh, okay.
So we had that break or whatever, and then Mike, my striking coach.
Yep.
I was like, I'm gonna give this one more go. Before I never knew like a real camp or anything like that. I didn't have a strength and conditioning coach. I didn't have a main jiu-jitsu coach, grappling, striking, whatever. We did everything at Lakeville MMA.
Okay.
And anyways, COVID happened, and I messaged at the time Connor Matthews' coach was Mike, the striking coach.
Yeah.
And he also trained Marty Navis, which both of them were undefeated prospects at the time.
Yeah.
So I think I asked Connor, I was like, hey, can I get Mike's number? Like, I'd like to reach out, see if, he'll train me. And I texted Mike, and Mike was like, oh, yeah, I'll take you and Jack Congdon. Well, I wasn't really close with Jack, but I was
so you didn't know him until you started training?
No, I knew Jack because we went to school together.
Okay.
In middle school, but we were never close. Never had the same friend group. But I was like, oh, okay. So I just told Jack, messaged him. I was like, hey, would you want to work with him? And he was like, yeah, I'm aboard. So we went to the KO gym in New Bedford, and we started working with them. And then finally, COVID got a little bit more aggressive, and they shut down KO.
Okay.
So then we started going to Ted Williams camp in Lakeville. And when we went to Ted Williams camp in Lakeville, he would just have us do sprints, and then one step jab, next step right hand, next one's hook, and then it's jab right hand hook, and then it's we do sparring. Jack and I must have stepped on 100 bees, dude, in the summer.
Oh, you guys were all outside?
Yeah, everything was outside because
Okay.
you couldn't go inside because of COVID. Right?
Yeah, I was curious, with other gyms closing, how you were able to still keep training and whatnot.
Yeah, it was just that. There was no jiu-jitsu, nothing. But Mike, he's old-fashioned, so he didn't really care. But then finally, Cage Titans comes out, have their first, card back since, COVID. It sold out so fast.
Yeah, definitely.
And everyone wanted to be on this card. Jack and I were lucky enough to get on it. I told my mom during the camp for the fight, I was like, listen, I'm 0-2. I don't really want to hear that from Andy. Here he is, 0-2. It's so embarrassing. So I was like, I'll give this one more go. And then I was like, oh, that's nice, that's smart. And I put my all into it, you know. And I told Mike, I remember 2 minutes before walking out, I was like, this is it for me. You know what I mean? I already knew that mentally that was it. lose, like I'm done. You know,
Yeah.
if I win, I'll stay.
Yeah.
But if I lose, like I gave it my best. It just wasn't meant to be.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you would have lost that fight, there would have been no more MMA in your future.
No, I would have been done.
Would you have jumped to like boxing or just like something else that maybe? Because that's something that I thought about a lot. Because like I remember when I was doing some training with you, I had told you that I'd never have had the itch to really get in there.
Yeah.
But the more I like work with like fighters with just filming and then podcasting and stuff like that, the more it kind of is like hitting me a little bit.
Right.
But like I was just like, I don't know if I'd dive into MMA. I might box.
Yeah.
Just like get my striking and stuff like that, and just like kind of see if I enjoy getting hit in the face, because I know I'm gonna take some shots to the mouth.
Right.
So
it is
yeah,
what it
that
is.
was like something that I had thought about like pretty recently, and so yeah, it was just so for you, just you were art. So when you were walking out, you had told him it was it.
Yeah.
So it's
That was
it's
one.
either win or
Yeah.
nothing.
I'm done. Yeah.
So, and then you ended up putting on a pretty solid performance in that fight.
Yeah.
That was your first knockout.
First
ever?
knockout, First win.
First
obviously.
win.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty.
And it was a sold out crowd, like oversold. Like
Yeah.
people were standing up. Like,
Yeah. And what was that kind of feeling? You know, you've felt failure twice in the cage, and then finally you just land your shot, see him go out, and then you see the ref step in front of you. What was kind of the emotions in your head?
There's no words to describe it, bro.
Yeah.
Like I was just on cloud 9.
Yeah.
Like even for like 2 weeks after, I was still on cloud 9.
Would you say that's what got you like kind of like addicted to the sport of
sure.
MMA?
For sure.
That moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the, after obviously you said you know thought about it for weeks after you were on cloud 9, what was kind of the moment you realized that this was going to be a long-term thing, then you were not going to quit it, you were just like 100% solid on it? Was it that win, or was there more to it?
It was more to it. That win is what kept me fighting.
Yeah.
And then my next one, I got a draw against Ashwell Rao.
Yeah, I didn't know how to pronounce his name.
And then the next one after that was another win. I triangle choked the Ohio State wrestler. Like I just kept winning.
Yeah.
And obviously when you're winning, you don't want to stop.
Yeah,
You're
definitely.
good, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
So, and I was kind of figuring it out at that point when it comes to the third like win. Like I was like, all right, I know what my camp looks like. I know what I have to do, you know. So when it got to the point where I was going for the Kyle Pufal fight and the lightweight title at the amateurs, I was like, oh, like Kyle was ranked number 1 and I was ranked like 4th, 3rd, and I was like, oh, like they were like, oh, do you want this fight? And I was like, yeah, like it's a title fight. Like,
Definitely.
why wouldn't I, right?
Yeah, for sure.
At the time, Kyle was 3-0 with 3 knockouts. Like, yeah, dude's a scary dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, jeez. Like, I just trained my ass off for it, just like my previous ones. And then I won, and then I was like, wow. And that kid rocked me.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I actually watched that fight again this morning to just like, I was just going over some of your fights, and that guy was cracking you.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire first round, and you kept your pace with him, which was one of the main things I noticed, is that you were just, regardless of him hitting you in the face every time you stepped in, it was just like continuous pressure. And I think that was ultimately what was his downfall, was you just staying in his face. Because I remember him being back against the cage, and I'm sure you remember this too. You were throwing your shots, but every time shell up, hit you with a hook.
Yeah.
He might have done that 3 or 4 times in a row before he like gassed out.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of where you got your like your Nate Diaz type nickname for just stay in the pit. You don't like that, do you?
No.
That picture that they got from you from your last fight, though, really sealed the deal. Double bird, blood coming down your face.
Dude, I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really wanted that. But I mean, that's the fight. I was like, all right, like I kind of want to see where this goes.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just hooked on it. You know,
For sure.
I just went to Florida, trained with Billy Q.
Yep.
Like, you know, him and I exchanged some words and had a private conversation, and like, you know, he thinks I'm on the right track or whatever. A couple of things I need to work on, but you know, he told me that he sees a bright future.
Yeah.
Which is really cool to hear that from like guys who are in there and like made it decently on main cards, main events.
Yeah.
You know.
And so let's say after you finish your amateur bout for the title, you win the title. What's the support like from, you know, family and friends? Are people still like, well, family specifically, are they really like, oh, I don't know if I want to keep watching you fight, or did you get a load of support which would help you out?
I got a load of support. You know, my parents don't really love watching me getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad just stays home. Like
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll play it on the TV, but my dad doesn't watch it. He just goes downstairs and tells me, and then they just hear them yelling from upstairs, like, "Oh my God, yeah!"
So he won't even watch the fight?
No.
Wow.
He just wants to hear if I won or not.
Okay,
but,
that makes sense though.
Yeah. My dad's like super not into fighting.
Really?
Yeah. My mom isn't either. Like, she's like peace, love, like no, you know.
Yeah, no violence type of thing.
But I mean, she sees that I love it, and it, you know, the people that I've met, my friends and everything. So she sees like how happy I am.
Yeah.
So she's happy for me.
Definitely. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I know. I mean, if I had a kid and he wanted to get into fighting, and I mean, obviously I'd have a different perspective on it because I've seen the game and what comes from it. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know how I'd feel about it, honestly, especially like if he got like knocked out or something like that. It would be just like that, just like, I don't know, I feel like that would shatter me as like a father.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I would be super competitive with my kid, but like if he was doing jiu-jitsu or something, like, or she, like I would definitely want my daughter to like know how to defend herself.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sure. But at the same time, if like she does tournaments and stuff, I'm gonna be that like terrible aggressive dad. And
like... Yeah. There's always parents like that though. I mean, like you'll see the videos like of like dads diving in the middle of a wrestling match. Like I saw some video of a kid in it. I guess I don't know too much about wrestling rules, but like I know if you're like have someone like kind of in a headlock, there needs to be like an arm in. Yeah. To avoid them from getting like choked out.
Yeah.
But some kid had like almost like a not a triangle, a darce.
Yeah.
And this kid, he just made him go out, and this dad just dove in with like a fucking rock people's elbow, just flying in on a kid. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had something to pull it up and show you.
Yeah.
But it was like parents get way too overly competitive about any sports, like whether it's fucking football, basketball, but like fighting and like MMA type of stuff, or just like anything that has to do with MMA, I can see why parents would be like, I've never been to a boxing event for like amateurs, but I could imagine the parents would be vicious people. And have you seen like that type of thing?
Like, you know, coaching at the gym and stuff like that, you just in there alone, you know, the parents kind of, you know, just
like kind of get a little riled up.
Oh yeah,
I think it's just our, as humans, it's like our animal instinct to just
and honestly, that's your kid, dude. Like, you know what I mean?
You don't want to see your kid get hurt and whatnot. Right. So yeah, it makes sense though. But so we'll go into your pros. That's like I would say obviously the biggest jump you can make going from amateurs to pros. What was that? What was the decision you made when finally making that jump? When did you know it was the right time?
Honestly, my coaches told me.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, I fought Kyle, then I fought Sergey, and Sergey was ranked number 2 in New England at the time, and I was number 1, and he was 4-0, just dominating everybody on the ground, TKOing him. So, fought him. I lost by split decision or unanimous decision, I can't remember, but decision. And like at that point, I'm already at the top. You know what I mean? I could fight, you know, Sergey again, but like, what's the point of that? You know what I mean? Like we kind of already just did that. So my coaches were like, "Oh, you're already at the top. There's no one else really to fight. just go off, do your own thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, not go off, do your own thing, but like we're gonna go pro. And I remember for my pro fight, dude, I was nervous as hell. It was like my first amateur fight for me, because like when you go pro, it's a clean slate.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you're back to 0-0. You don't want to lose that O.
Yeah.
And you definitely want to lose it an O2 on like your debut.
Yeah.
You know. So I was a little like nervous, and let's be real, like your first 2 fights, sometimes your first fight is usually a can. You know. They feed you. You know. They want to get your feet wet. You know. Use your elbows. Use whatever. So it was a guy who wasn't obviously as talented as I am, but the fact that I was so nervous, I left some holes. Okay. You know, he caught me with the right, clipped me, cut me there, and then I had to take him down, and then I finished him on the ground. But like, I'm never really a nervous person. I was very nervous for that one.
So I've been with you for 2 of your fights,
right?
And I've seen kind of your demeanor from walking in the doors to the moment you leave the cage. Throughout that time frame of you before getting in the cage, you seem pretty relaxed, and you kind of just flowing as if it's a normal day. Mm-hmm. What's that mindset like in the back? Because I've spoken to other fighters, and they talk about how it feels like just like a gym. Mm-hmm. And like, because you have all like the difference between other promotions and cage titans is other promotions kind of have people in separate like locker room type of style, but the cage titans is just a big room split by a curtain. You have all your people from the red and all your people from the blue corner. And so where are you like in your head pre-fight? What's the main like thought going on in your head?
Honestly, I'm not much, dude. Like nothing really goes on. Like, I'm not nervous. I mean, you'd be lying if you're not slightly nervous. Yeah. But I always have that, like, I did everything I can, for the camp and stuff. So I'm kind of more like mellow, and I kind of like to take that time to like just talk to my coaches and chill out. Like, I don't zone out. I don't think of it as like, I'm going to go in there and crush them. I'm not thinking about the fight the whole time in the back room. I'm just chilling. Yeah. I'm going on my phone. Shooting the shit with Joe Lozon, all the guys, making them laugh. They make me laugh. It's kind of just when it's my turn to go up, I know it's my turn to go up. Like,
for sure.
What I mean? I did everything I can.
Yeah. And you, speaking of Joe Lozon and just like your connections in general, how like helpful has that been throughout your MMA career? Just being able to be in tune with all these people who have done stuff in the UFC and people who have just been running through the regional circuit.
It's awesome. Joe kind of knows the steps for me to get there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I, get a little ahead of myself, and I want to be like, I want to rush the process, right? Yeah. Joe's kind of like that guy who's like brings me down a notch. Is like, you need to work on this before we get you there. You have some holes here, and like it's good to have people like that, because like otherwise I could go in there, to the next whatever level, LFA, whatever it is, UFC, and then I'm getting knocked out.
Okay, yeah.
So Joe kind of like sets me back. So it's kind of have something like a guardian.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I know. I definitely get that vibe from him, kind of like older brother / like dad vibes. Because I remember after I don't know if it was after your most recent win or your keepers fight, but I remember handing you a beer, and then like you took maybe 2 sips, and he runs in and grabs the beer and throws it, and I was just like, oh shit, all right, I guess that was a bit. I felt bad even giving you that beer. I'm like, I guess he did just get punched in the face for the last 15 minutes. So, but yeah, Joe's he's a crazy son of a bitch, but he knows what he's doing for sure. That's fun. Yeah. I remember talking to him briefly, and he was just like, I was just like, this guy's on his own fucking planet. He was just, he's insane. And so yeah, you get through your first pro fight, and then that jumps to your fight against keepers, correct? That's your second one.
Yep.
After you had gotten your feet wet, how was how was it going like right back into it? Because Cage Titans is every other month.
Mm-hmm.
So after your first win, did you jump in the next card?
Yeah.
Right after?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was it like just not having that much time to kind of process that victory and knowing you got to get right back to work?
I kind of just wanted to rack up some wins. But I'm always kind of in that mindset, to be honest with you, whether if I'm in camp or not, you know, I'm like constantly training, constantly knowing what's next, you know?
For sure.
So that really wasn't a problem, but the problem was, going to back-to-back camps, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
You're dieting for 4 months now. So like that's just crazy, you know?
Yeah.
But like I got to be a little bit better with that because like, you know, I don't.
Heavyweight Miguel.
Yeah, I get a little big, dude. You know,
Yeah.
you came to my party. I was eating everything inside.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, that's a day after the fight though, so you got to enjoy a little bit.
But what I didn't expect from that was like going from my first fight to someone who's from Las Vegas, you know, is training at the best gym in the world. You know, like one of the best gyms in the world, and he was good. Like,
yeah.
He was really good.
Yeah.
And I think I had the same mentality from the first fight. Like, I'm like, I know this kid's a can. Like, blah, 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 you know. I'm just going to go in there and destroy him. Or, like... So, when I was fighting Daniel, he was not going down. And I was not going down. So, like, it was just a crazy fight.
Yeah.
You know? Just because like this kid's he's training with UFC fighters, he's training with LFA fighters, Bellator fighters, like he's training with top guys. So, like, that was like a big moment from where I'm like, wow, like we're really doing this.
For sure. Know? Are you like shut off when you were in there, like completely? And are you thinking of like anything at all, or are you kind of just letting? Are you just letting it flow? Are you letting the gears turn in there?
So when my amateur career, I would say I would just flow.
Okay.
My pro career, I would say I'm flowing and still listening to my coaches. Like, believe it or not, like just like 2,000, 3,000 people in there. You can zone out and just hear just your coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've been trying to like work on that a lot more. I mean, honestly, sometimes you get carried away. You know,
for sure.
Fight.
I've seen you get carried away.
Yeah.
You like to have fun in there, though.
Absolutely.
So I've seen. Yeah, it's like I remember your most recent fight. You hitting a little like dance walk and throwing a leg kick and then eating one in the fucking jaw. But you like to have fun in there, and that's good. I noticed that about you. It's like you do bring the showmanship, and it definitely attracts the crowd for sure. You know, you get a pop every time you come out there. You get a pop with every win you've had, and you know 3-0 at this point. You got to be feeling pretty good about that. What's your I would say what's your goal within the next 2 years of fighting?
My goal is to I'll be 31. No, I'll be 30. I hope to be in the UFC by that point, you know.
2 years from now, you want to be in the UFC?
Yeah.
For sure. Are you interested in collecting like belts in the regional scene at all, or are you not too worried about that?
I'm interested in the Cage Titans belt.
Yeah.
I've only ever fought for Cage Titans, so I've never been interested in fighting anywhere else. But and Michael Pavera is just like, he's really good to me. Like there's just no need to do that. And it's like 30 minutes away. Like it's perfect.
Yeah.
And the hall is just awesome. Like,
yeah.
It's awesome.
It's one of the best places in the world.
Absolutely.
Easily.
Absolutely. So I'm just kind of more set on just maybe the Cage Titans belt. But,
yeah.
I mean, right now, Peter Barrett's got it. Trains at Lausanne's.
True. Like, yeah. Is that like one of your like teammates per se?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
I obviously I wouldn't.
I didn't know if he was still. I didn't know if he had vacated that because of him going off to fight in Gamebred.
I don't know either. That's a good question, but I think maybe because he lost the game bred one, he'll still defend it locally.
Yeah, for sure. Do you feel like you're getting kind of close to that title shot?
Yeah. I mean, Jack got it at 4-0. I think I would get it at 4-5-0.
Okay.
But I think again, like, I'm not gonna fight Peter Barrett.
For sure, yeah. Are you set at your weight class, or would you think about going either low? I mean, lower would be harder. Mm-hmm. Would you think about going up or staying where you're at?
So I'm with a nutritionist now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's going great. I'm too big for 45. I think I'd have a pretty insane cut. I don't know. I've always been tempted to try it.
Yeah.
But 70, I'm not as strong as them. Like, I train with Jack 24/7. Like,
yeah.
He's a bull.
Yeah, he's nuts.
Yeah,
that guy's insane, bro.
I just like mess around with him at the house too, and I'm like, this kid's way too strong.
It's not worth it. Yeah. So your most recent fight, get TKO victory against Pike, and I feel like that was one of the better performances that I've watched from you. And how did you like feel throughout that whole process of your most recent fight? Did you struggle with anything? Did you feel more success with training and getting in there?
Like I said, from like the first 2 fights, like I was very anxious.
Yeah.
Then the third fight, I kind of just got into that flow state. I didn't expect him to do what he said. He was like talking the whole time. He was like, you got this kid who's wrestled all through college, is a 3-time All-American champion or whatever.
Yeah.
And he went in there and actually tried to strike with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like, that's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
So then I was like, wow, we didn't expect that at all. We were just expecting takedown.
Okay.
So in the second round, he tried to take me down. I blocked it. Like, he had like 3 or 4 attempts, but I blocked them all.
Yeah.
So at that point, and I was busting up his leg.
Yeah.
So at that point, I knew that he just couldn't, like, he wouldn't be able to get me down.
For sure.
Yeah. He was he was good, but like I think I just had a great game plan because like my gym like really capitalizes on being better at something that like you're good at. Like, say I'm facing a wrestler, right? We just wrestle. Like, that's all we're doing because we want to make sure like that we're on top of that.
Yeah,
know?
For sure. When something like that happens in the cage, like you said, you expected him with a heavy wrestling background. You're ready for him to just shoot takedowns for the whole 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. When he came out striking like that, like you said, it kind of like threw you off a little bit. Just like, does that mess up like the game plan at all? Like, obviously you came out victorious, but like, does that kind of just like bring everything back to square one?
No, but you definitely have to think on your feet real quick.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just goes back to being a mixed martial artist.
For sure.
I mean?
So, here, I had a question here I wanted to ask. All right, yeah. So, what would you say, both amateur and your current pro career, what are your favorite moments so far?
I have a couple.
You can give me however many you want. It doesn't need to be 1 and 1.
All right. So the knockout from COVID was awesome. And then probably when I got the belt, because Jack defended his belt, I got my belt. Like, that was really cool because it was like both champs are at one gym.
For sure.
And it's like all that hard work training that me and him do like by ourselves, like kind of just came into fruition.
Yeah, that's dope.
And then I guess like your pro debut is always cool. It's not probably one of my top favorites, but I would say it's up there.
Yeah.
Because it's just like new stepping stone.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And we'll take it based on what we talked about. Let's go all the way back. where did MMA, or not specifically MMA, but where did, this enter your life? This want to just fight or do something involved in MMA?
Were you there for the Cage Titans Team Carrier banner?
Was it an event?
That was my pro debut, actually. So
I don't think I wasn't filming yet,
okay.
but I might have gone to the event. I can't. Do you know what number event it was?
Oh, I didn't know.
Okay, yeah. So it's probably not. No.
But so what got me into MMA was I'm like best friends with Logan Carrier.
Yeah.
And I grew up with him. Started probably about 5 years old, and he had this older brother, Devin Carrier, and Devin was like a couple years older than us. He started MMA probably when he was like 14.
Okay.
And he was like killing it. Like I've always heard like Logan talk about it. It's like, oh, he has a kickboxing fight. He knocked him out in like first round. And I'm like, wow, jeez. But like I was always like hearing that stuff. You're always like shy to talk to him, you know what I mean? Especially because I'm like 11.
Yeah, for
sure. So then he went to Lausanne's, and like I've always heard stories like he was so good that he could have gone to the UFC and like really stayed in the UFC.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like Logan that's his like superhero, his dad, like basically his dad and his brother. You know? So like every time I hang out with Logan, it's always talking about Devin. And I knew Devin really well. So one day, like they went to go train together at Lausanne's, and this is when Lausanne's was back in Easton.
Okay.
And they were coming back from training, and they got into a car accident on 140, and Devin like passed away.
Yeah.
So Logan was like devastated. Obviously, he was in the car.
Yeah.
He survived. He wasn't driving, but Logan was like absolutely devastated. Didn't know what to do. His whole family was just, taken back from it.
For sure.
So he kind of lost a lot of weight, gone to like a little bit of depression.
Yeah, definitely.
So one day I just reached out and I was like, I know it's not the same, but like I'll come train with you, because he just stopped training. It's like not gonna go to the place without his brother. And he was like, oh, like that would mean the world. Yeah, I would really like that. And then this was like 8 months after the car accident and everything. So we went, and I was hooked immediately. And I rolled with like a 14-year-old girl. She put me in a submission, like a rear naked choke, dude.
Yeah.
Choked me out. I'm like, what the heck, you know? But I was immediately hooked.
Okay.
And like Logan, after that, Logan and I just went all the time.
Okay.
So that's what got me into MMA. And then I went from Lausanne's was like 40 minutes from my house, so I went to Lakeville, which was only 15.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened. But that's how I got into MMA.
So you just flowed through it, got inspired a little bit. So it was so basically your introduction to MMA was just like almost just it sparked from that event almost. Yeah. And yeah, I wasn't aware of the whole situation, what happened with that. I had seen his name and seen the memorials that Cage Titans had done for him and whatnot, but I didn't know any of that story. So I'm glad you brought that to light.
Yeah.
And so you just continued to train on with him, and then it just sparked into this whole thing.
Well, Logan actually ended up kind of stopped training again, and then he ended up getting his girlfriend pregnant. Yeah.
That slows things down.
Hey, those things happen,
Yeah.
So then he kind of stopped training, and I just kept going. So
yeah.
Just because all the friends that I met and everything like that, so.
Yeah. And when you're in that gym mindset with people, and like you said, you went to the gym, you got hooked on it immediately, your connections through the gym, obviously like sparking to Joe Lozon, Mike and everyone you work with. What's that community like for you? How does it shape everything that you do?
It's a love-hate thing.
For sure. Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
I love it that I go every day, but I hate it because I go every day.
Yeah, for sure. I know what you mean. Yeah, no, definitely.
Like, I have no life, dude. It's just MMA.
It's just MMA, yeah.
But, like, I love it, and I love the people. Like, Jack's now, like, one of my best friends. Like, and, we live together, we train together, we watch tape together, just everyone. I would have never really met Joe Lozon like that, and it's really cool to have someone like that on your corner. My other two coaches, John Mirando and Mike. Yeah. My Forge gym that I go to in the Cape. Yeah. My Chad Faria, my strength and conditioning coach. Like, I just like the people that I surround myself with. They just want to see like the best for me. Yeah. And it's like really cool to have that. Yeah. Savory's gym too.
Yeah. I remember being very intimidated by just like the demeanor that happened when going to gyms. Like, first time I went to go meet up with you was at KO. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I remember going in there and I was just like, oh fuck, dude, this guy's a animal. And it's like I didn't know what to expect from you because I had only heard of you from like word of mouth. And it's something that I've said, it's like MMA fighters are some of the greatest people in the world. Like, it's only positive. Like, obviously I don't see everything. Yeah. The stuff that goes into it, little scuffles happen here and there. You know, there's always going to be shit talking, especially when you're punching each other in the face. Right. But, like, my introduction to MMA was pretty much through you. Mm-hmm. And since then, everyone I've met through it, it's always been just such a positive, like, just attitude and just, like, humble. That's what I didn't expect, honestly, from people who fight cage fights. I didn't expect that at all. Just, like, the humble attitude and just like very selfless, not like, and there's definitely people that are like that I've met, and through Cage Titans and whatnot, there's people who are on their high horse and feel like they're the shit, but like it's dope seeing the community and like the family aspect that you guys all kind of bring, because like at the end of the day, like whether red or blue corners, there's always some love, after the fight, before the fight. Have you ever really had like a kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Just like
bad blood?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Have you ever had like bad blood going into a fight?
No.
Nah.
No, not really. No.
It's not really your thing,
No.
Push at the weigh-ins, that type of thing.
No. I think that's cheesy to me. I'm just like, you're trying to do the same thing I'm doing.
For sure.
I'm in your way, you're in my way. Like, we gotta figure this out, and there's only one way to do it.
Definitely.
There's no reason to have bad blood. I think it's like some of it's like really funny, like Conor McGregor era. Like, that's awesome. Yeah. But like if it's like locally in the Cage Titans stuff, like there's no reason, I don't think, to really have it. And granted, like I did have like, there's a couple people where I was like, like, you don't like
that you were fighting, or just in general?
No, just in general. Yeah. But then like after a while, like, you just let it go,
For sure.
Shake hands.
Does it always, like, is it always water under the bridge after you fight?
For sure.
Yeah.
Even then, I go in there with no like hate towards them.
Really?
No, I know what I have to do to win, and I have to win. Like, despite if I have to break your arm or not, or whatever I have to do.
For sure. I feel like I would bug the fuck out.
Really?
Like, I don't know. For some reason, it's just like, I feel like the second I would get like punched in the face, I would be like, fuck this guy.
Oh my
fuck
God.
this guy. Like,
turn into a Kyle.
Like, just like freak out. Like, I don't know. It's just like, because like I see guys kind of like, there's points in like MMA fights where people like lose their composure.
Yeah.
Like whether they're like celebrating like a shot but the fight's not over.
Right.
Or just like, but yeah, I see like people get like cracked and then all of a sudden they're just like freak out and then start throwing hooks and overhands and just like, is it hard to like
control it?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's the difference between amateurs and pros, to be honest with you. And the amateurs, you do see that. Not so much, because these amateurs are looking more and more high level.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are looking good.
That's something I talked about with Joe. He said like the difference between amateurs when he first started and he was an amateur versus now. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about guys like Carter Whitty.
Yeah.
Switch kick. Yeah. 12 seconds in.
Right.
You don't see that happen.
No.
Like, especially not an amateur.
No.
they do seem a lot more composed. And Cage Titans brings in some very, very high level amateurs like Matt Martinez per se.
I was about to say Pikachu the kid.
That kid's a pro,
dude.
I don't care what anyone says. He is a pro fighter.
That kid's fun to watch.
Yeah, excitement like. Just, I mean, I could ramble about some of these amateurs forever, but he's like one of the ones that sticks out the most for me. Patience, you know, aggressive pace, but
good striker, decent on the, pretty good on the ground too. Yeah, he works at that Muay Thai Ladira gym, right? Ladiro.
I'm not too sure about his gyms.
Sure, yeah, he's really good. He's probably one of my favorite amateurs.
Yeah, that's that was something I was curious about, just like. Kind of like, because I feel like if we're talking street fight versus MMA, someone gets cracked, they're going to black out, either get knocked out or just haymakers, slam, all that type of stuff. So that you'd say that was the big difference between amateur. Was that for you as well, or just in general?
I feel like my era of amateurs, for me, but my era of amateurs, they were like getting to that point where we were starting to look pretty much like pros.
Yeah.
You know? Now it's like these amateurs, their debut is like pros. You know? So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And we'll talk about Cage Titans for a bit. In general, you know, the hall, like we said, one of the best places in the world. The energy is insane in there. Do you see that, like, Cage Titans making that jump as a promotion as they build up with more and more events? Do you think that they could, you know, jump higher than a regional scene?
I hope so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know that answer. I feel like from all the promotions that I've seen, I would say Cage Titans is probably the closest to that.
Yeah.
Despite that, some of them have UFC Fight Pass or not, you know.
Yeah.
What they do with Spectation Sports is really good.
Yeah.
They're commentating. Everything is like super, super professional.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I can see them like getting up to there and stuff like that. But you know, you hear Mike Pulvera saying like, you know, we're not UFC. We're not trying to be UFC and stuff like that. So like, I don't think Mike Pulvera is really interested in that. I mean, obviously we would love that, but he's just not interested.
For sure. If they made that like jump to like, you know, obviously not like a UFC level because that's
selling out big
but like,
crowds.
Yeah, like doing something like, you know, LFA is going to Foxwoods the same day.
Yeah.
Cage Titans is coming out. If it made that jump, do you think that people or fighters in general would be more in tune to kind of just stay there a little bit longer? Because I know like a lot of people that are fighting in Cage Titans right now are either, you know, running the show or like jumping between different promotions and whatnot. Do you think it would bring more light to want to stay in Cage Titans, like as a point where they might be offering like, you know, 4 fight contracts, like that type of thing? What do you how would you feel about that?
I think they would stay a little bit longer just because one, it would make their clout go up.
Yeah, for sure.
They definitely getting paid more.
Yeah.
Like there'd be no real reason to keep going to different promotions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also got to think like, can you do that? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
would you say that Cage Titans is like the best regional promotion around?
Oh, 100%.
Like without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I've seen 3.
Okay.
So.
What
I'm not gonna say which 3 though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're not gonna put anyone on blast. What about Cage Titans do you like the most? Like just fighting there. What's like that experience like to you?
The experience is awesome. Like you said, like it's very family oriented.
For sure.
So like that's just really cool, and like everyone's got like everyone's back, and like when you get there and like people are starting to come in and you're warming up in the cage, like you just feel like that butterflies, even if like you're not even fighting. Like I'm just helping Jack out for his last fight, and I'm still getting those like little tingles and butterflies in my stomach.
Sure.
You know, so like I think it's an awesome experience. Like a lot of people like, they talk shit outside the cage, like, oh, do this, do that.
Yeah,
It's like, you don't know what it's like to go in there. But
Yeah, definitely.
It's crazy. And you never realize how really small the cage is, too.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I just, realized that now. But, my first time ever going in there, it looks huge from the outside.
For sure, yeah.
But then when you go in, it's like 3 steps, I'm already in the middle.
Yeah, I remember my first time stepping in there was going to film your first fight, and I remember asking, I was like, am I allowed to go in there? Yeah. And they were like, yeah, and I was just like, it just kept on getting smaller the closer I got into it, and then I stepped in, and I was like, these guys are a lot taller and longer than me. I remember just taking a couple paces in, and for, I'm not a big guy. My dimensions aren't big. 2 or 3 paces, and I'm dead center in the octagon. Is that, so you've only fought in Cage Titans.
Yeah.
So do you think that, do you have to game plan that? Like, the size of the cage?
I mean, we have a small ring at the KO gym.
Yeah.
So, you've seen it. It's super small. So, it's, kind of like the same size.
Yeah.
So, we do a lot of sparring in that. But we don't really, game plan that. No.
Yeah. It's not, I don't know. I was just thinking, I was like, because I feel like the bigger the cage, maybe the more movement, more flow that you can put into your game plan. Do you think you personally would benefit from a larger size cage rather than a smaller one?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
Because my style is so come forward.
Yeah.
So I'd have to hunt you down because I know you're gonna run.
Yeah.
Where if it's Jack Congdon, he likes to pick you apart, play chess.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that would benefit him
For sure.
Whoever's the longer opponent and knows how to use that.
Yeah. I never. That. The first time going into the cage, that's when I realized I was like, oh, this is in the fucking phone booth.
Literally.
90% of the time, regardless.
Bloodbath.
Yeah, every single time. It's just that Anthony King fight. Mm-hmm. That was his debut, correct?
No, he was 2-4.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. But yeah, that was an insane fight, and they were both not the biggest guys in the world,
right?
But they were on top of each other the entire fight, and so. Yeah, I think that's a big difference.
Oh wait, Anthony King. I'm sorry, that's my teammate.
Yeah, dude. I was thinking, I was 3 and 4. How did I miss that?
No. He is that was his debut.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
I watched him do some strength and conditioning with Chad and whatnot, but I had no idea what his style was at all, and he's a specimen.
Yeah, dude. He's freakishly strong. We were doing deadlifts, and he was lifting 4 plates on each side, like nothing. And
what's a plate? Normal.
1 plate is 45 pounds, so 4 plates on each side, just cranking them up, lifting it, and then I was like, oh my god. And then I had to go, and I just got it up. Yeah, and then he does the 425, 4 plates and 25 on each side, and does it, and Chad looks at me. He's like, "Wow, you're screwed." I was like, "I hate you."
Chad is a funny motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mic'd him up for one training session, watching back the footage. I was like, "Oh my god, some of the craziest shit." I remember. I filmed Anthony's debut, and he ate 2 massive head kicks right on the button. And after he had a war. I can't remember if that finished in the 2nd or 3rd rounds, but his celebration choice, I don't know if you recall, but he did a backflip off of the cage after that fight. It's insane.
Yeah.
After getting, his face was
bloodied up.
It was horrible.
Still has a nasty scar from it.
I know. That was from that initial head kick. I think that's not the one. He was dropped in the first round right at the bell.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure everyone thought the fight was over right there. And then the second head kick he took, that's when his face I was up on the balcony filming from the top, and I'm on a little screen here. I just see his face blow right open. And then deciding to do a backflip after that, I was like, this guy is a insane motherfucker.
He's built for it.
Yeah, definitely.
And we call him AJ, so like that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah,
I
no.
Anthony King.
Yeah.
I'm like Anthony King.
Yeah, I know. I realized that like midway through my sentences. I was like, I don't know if they call him that, but who's some of your other teammates that are
Connor Holt, and he was also on that.
Yeah, he fought that guy Igor,
Yes.
who's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
Like that was he looked good though. Connor, he just was pressured the entire fight, and that's what's gonna happen when you're fighting a guy who's acting like Khabib pretty much.
Right,
So.
and Connor's like 6'4".
He's a tall dude.
Yeah.
He's a lanky, tall guy.
I'll tell you right now, when you see him next time in probably May,
Yeah.
he's gonna look light years better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like we've just before he kind of just like jumped into a camp with us. He didn't really like know how to do it before.
Yeah.
And he's like first time ever fighting. Like I don't think he's ever done a kickboxing fight.
Really?
No, he's done jiu-jitsu matches.
Yeah.
But he's never done like an actual fight. So like that was just like getting his feet wet. But now like just training with him since that 4 months.
Yeah.
He's gonna look light years better.
For sure. Is taking a loss, say in your first fight, you guys both experienced that, and even you with your second one, like you said, you were like going into your third fight and you're like, oh, this is do or die pretty much. Do you think it's good to kind of, I mean, obviously, you want to go out there and go undefeated in your amateurs and stuff like that. But do you think overall that it was good that you got those kind of losses out of the way?
I do, yeah. Because like now I know what it's like to lose.
For sure.
And I think like even though I like my fights have always gone like the distance, or like I finished them later in the third round.
Yeah.
Or, where Jack fought everybody and just dominated them in the first round.
Yeah.
So I've technically learned a lot more from my fights than Jack has, even though he's 4-0.
Yeah.
As an amateur,
For sure.
As an amateur. So like I felt like my career, I've learned a lot more.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I remember. Well, what I was gonna say was Jack. I watched a couple of his fights before his Prisma fight.
Yeah.
And that Prisma is a different specimen. Yeah. That guy's, in my opinion, he's not a regional talent. He was far more than ready to take that next jump. But Jack's last two fights, I think he looked better than he ever has from just the jump.
Yeah.
I mean, he fought Bowen, who 9-8 or something like that, 9-9.
Right.
But very experienced, contender series alumni, I'm pretty sure. He was incredible in that fight, just every aspect of his game, and then jump into his most recent fight, fighting a freaking gorilla of a man. I mean, I didn't know how to expect. I don't know if that's right to say, but I mean, look at him. He's a just no neck, all shoulders type of dude.
Yeah.
And Jack picked him apart, and I feel like that loss that he took, although championship fight, it kind of sucks to lose that one. He's made a big jump in his career taking that loss. And so I feel like like you said, taking that learning from that experience, just it betters you as a fighter.
I agree with that. I think it also kind of fueled his fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know, I would have to ask him, but like I feel like winning all the time first round, it's like you just expect it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep,
now
for
you're
sure.
versing someone like Prisma, who's very durable and he just wants to take you down and like, smother you.
Yeah.
That was kind of a wake up call, maybe. Like, because now Jack's like, oh, like the next guy that he has to face, he was like, that you're done.
Yeah.
I think that really fueled Jack's fire.
For sure. Yeah, he's I mean, anyone who knows him knows he's like not much talking.
Right. I don't think Jack really was like a type of person. He's not a type of person that like he's super humble. Like he's never like oh, I'm just gonna go in there and destroy them. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think like if it was me, I'd be like, I'm just gonna go in there and just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, for sure. Going,
like, it's just gonna be like every other fight, and then there you go. Like, the guy just smothered me. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, shit.
for sure.
So then it lights something in you, like
Yeah.
the next camp and the next camp. So I think, honestly, losing is, like, it's very, very humbling, and it's like, oh, shit, you know.
Yeah, because, you know, there's obviously guys in MMA who have gone undefeated in their career, guys like Habib and that type of thing.
It's a rare breed.
Yeah, that's like that. I mean, I don't even know what the fuck is up with that guy at all. Like, regardless of what position he's been put in, full guillotine from one of the best in the world, just ripping his head right out. But yeah, it's like being undefeated, I think, is obviously, you know, a great accomplishment. But at the same time, I feel like a loss is like a little bit of a blessing in disguise coming from your mindset, and it humanizes you almost, because, you know, if you're undefeated, it puts you kind of on a pedestal for people to look up. But, you know, as soon as you take that loss, it kind of brings you back down to light, whatever. And that's not, I'm not saying that like, because for Jack, you know, undefeated throughout his whole career, taking his loss, I'm not taking anything away from, you know, the fighter that he is, but it brings you back down to like a level of like, you can lose. You know, you're not Superman. And it brings a motivation that, I mean, you've seen it with him, obviously, as his teammate. His demeanor changed a lot, and he's just like full force. And he was before, obviously, but like there's just like a controlled aggression that's really shown from his last two fights.
I agree
with that. Yeah, so it's just like I was saying, just it brings you down, but it also helps you for sure. One thing I wanted to get into was going back into like the pre-fight stuff. Obviously, you know, you have free range. You can go into the crowd, say what's up to your family and stuff like that. Is that something that really does it distract you at all, or like kind of, I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for, but does it kind of like take you out of that fighting mindset at all? Like going to like talk to family or friends, like they say, oh, go fuck them up and stuff like that. Is that something that's
no
it's not? Yes.
To be honest, I don't really do it. I kind of just stay away from my phone a little bit. I'll play music, but like that's about it. You're not gonna see me text you. Just because, like, I don't know, I don't really need that.
For sure. Is it like keeping away from distractions? Is that like something that your like main focus is? No, well, obviously not main focus, but like something that you're really just like, because I talked to some fighters, and like I was talking with Joe about his karate combat fight. He said his fight was right after Alex Pereira's sister. And he said he peeped the corner and he saw Alex Pereira's sister just left hook clean KO. And he was like, oh shit. Like, got excited about it, and he had to snap himself right back, and he was like, oh shit, I'm next. You know, you can watch your other people fight when you're in the back. Is that like something that you have experienced, you know, watching, you know, fight, get excited about it, or, you know, get bummed out about watching someone lose?
To be honest, I've always fought first before Jack. So I've never really like trained much with anybody else. So I don't really know that experience. But if like there was someone that I liked as an amateur, I would root for them, but I wouldn't like be like super glued to the fight, if that makes sense. You know, it's always been me and Jack.
Definitely. I don't know. I just don't know where that like.
That's a good question, but I don't.
I know. It's just like the mindset of it, just like kind of like, because when I was doing Barrett versus Giannetti, he had two teammates that were fighting before him. He had Colin, can't think of his last name.
And the 55er.
And then Curly. And both of them, unfortunately, took a knockout loss. And, you know, I just don't know where that put his headspace going into his fight. Is like watching someone go down that you know, train with. And
well, when I asked Jack said like when he watched my fights, he would just like get super, super hyped up, but then you kind of bring yourself down.
Definitely.
If I lost, I feel like he just wouldn't get, like he'd be like, oh, dude, I'm sorry, like that sucks, bro. But he wouldn't go out there and be like fighting like aggressive for me. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
Because like at the end of the day, like the more calm you are, the better you fight.
Yeah, for sure. And so like that, yeah, like so based off what you just said, when you're in there, you know, getting your name announced and everything like that, you're getting hyped up. How anxious or how excited are you in that moment, like right before, you know, you ready, go. Like where's your head at in that moment?
That's when I'm zoned out.
Yeah.
You know,
You shut everything off.
Yeah, when Andy like he does your announcement really well. Like
Yeah,
like
he's one of the best.
Yeah,
in the
he
game.
pumps me up, dude. Like,
yeah.
But at the same time, I know like I can't get too crazy with it.
Yeah.
I did like that little chest bump thing that I did.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But like I try not to like before I would like scream and I'd be like ah
Yeah.
And then like your blood just rushes your head, and then it's like 2 seconds later, you're like, all right, gotta bring my heart rate down now, and it's like we just wasted that time. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So now I'll be like quick little dap, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, let's just get the ball rolling here.
Have you experienced like adrenaline dump, like
for sure,
in fights?
Yeah.
Between rounds or like during?
When my second fight, when he kneed me in the balls,
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, you get 5 minutes." I was like, "Oh," but like now it's like everything's starting to hurt because I just got punched in the face.
Yep.
You know, kicked or something like that. I'm like, ow! I'm like, I gotta fight again because like I need that adrenaline.
Yeah, for sure. And so like you were saying with the, you know, you took the nut shot and you're down. Are you gonna take that full 5 minutes?
No. I mean, a lot of people say that you should, but like, there was no need for me to do that because I think it was like pretty early in the round, so like we're both like in good shape. We weren't sweating. Like it was just the fact that we exchanged like a lot of hits to each other. That was about it. But we both weren't gassed, nothing. So,
yeah.
Like there was just no need to do that.
So with your adrenaline dump, you just start feeling everything like.
For sure, I could feel my face like throbbing from the punches and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, I gotta get going because like if I don't, then I.
How did you get back into that? Like, did you just like mentally snap?
Get punched in the face again.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wondered about that because like I've seen adrenaline dumps happen. Like it was I'm pretty sure it was Combat Zone fight.
Yeah.
There's a kid who trains with the cartel. I can't think of what his name is right now. He's like a ginger kid. He had long hair at first. Now I'm pretty sure he's like. Oh man, it's gonna bug me now because I knew his name before. Now I can't think of it. But he at the end of a round, he was it looked like it was TKO. Like the ref like stepped in, but he called the round rather than fight.
Yeah.
And he was celebrating and everything like that. He was just like getting hyped up.
The New England cartel kid.
Yeah. And because he was pounding this kid like to the ground. Like it was, I would have stopped it.
Yeah.
I'm not any ref, but I would have stopped it. Yeah. And it looked like a stoppage, and everyone in the like the judges, they were like, "Oh no, that's the fight."
That's
and
the round.
Yeah, no, they were saying the judges were saying that's the fight because they thought it was the fight.
Wow.
And you know, he was in the corner, and this was all filmed by Nico. He was in the corner like the fucking fight was supposed to be over. Like, what is this shit? And then you have Tyson trying to get them back into like the flow of fighting. Yeah. Goes into the second round and he gets choked out.
Oh.
So like he wasn't able to really find his get in his flow back, and I feel like that's just something that can really like damage your game, just like getting back into it. And excuse me, I just gotta take this out.
No. It's a learning experience.
Yeah. So we talked about, you know, your amateur career, pro career, your goals. Where do you say you would see this year going for you? What's obviously you have your fight coming up 22nd of March. What's let's say you go through that fight, get the job done, get the win. What would you say is next for you? May? Yeah,
I'm jumping back to back. Get 5-0 at that point, and then just keep racking them up until you get that big call. Really,
for sure. Yeah, you see that call coming for you within the next year?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Do I see it? I don't know. You never predict these things.
For sure.
Most of the time, it's like, kind of like last minute.
Yeah, that's what I've realized.
So
It just like comes
your
at you.
debut is always like, oh, can you make this weight in 2 weeks? And it's like, ah, shoot.
Yeah, I feel you. Would you take a short notice fight in UFC?
I would.
How short? What would be your limit?
I mean, I'm always training and stuff. The question is like where I am with my weight.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I would do a day's notice.
Really?
Yeah. I wouldn't care. You know what I mean? You know that they're paying you well.
For sure.
You know, and
Yeah.
they know that like they don't really expect you to win.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we're at our time here. I appreciate you coming on. Anything you want to promote?
Just a quick shout out to Leanne Phillips, you know, for sponsoring me for this fight. You know, she's a realtor. So if you guys are looking for a realtor, you know, hit her up. Brian Waterman for Waterman Roofing. He's one of the biggest roofing companies around. Chad Faria, my strength and conditioning coach. Forge Jiu-Jitsu, Matt Waddell in the Cape. Lozons and Dayton Savories. And yeah.
That's it.
Lisa, my girl, she gives me my massages, bro, every fight.
Yeah, let's go. Shout out Lisa. All right, brother.
I
Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
March 22nd, Miguel Sevasin versus
Tom Santos.
Tom Santos. Be there. Grab your tickets now. Grab them from Miguel if you can't grab tickets.
Yeah.
Spectation Sports. Use code
Sevasin. Capitals.
All caps?
All caps.
All right. That's a wrap.
Sweet.
I ain't seen pretty baby.